Scientists around the world are studying global climate change and developing various scenarios regarding its potential impact. But the real action and impact will occur at the local level. How will global climate change impact biodiversity, for example? This is exactly what two Switzer fellows are working on in a project they call At the Water's Edge, which takes this global question and focuses it on the San Francisco Bay Area. This is Switzer Network News.
We titled the project At the Water's Edge with this idea that we're just at the edge of understanding how climate may affect the Bay Area. And of course the allusion to sea level rise, which is the first thing people think about when they think about climate change.
Lisa Micheli's job focuses on managing the Pepperwood Preserve, 3,100 acres north of San Francisco, and her collaborator is Healy Hamilton, an internationally known scientist working on biodiversity on a global scale.
We have different areas of specialty. So Healy is an ecologist and a specialist in the distribution of biodiversity on the face of the planet. My background is actually studying water and looking at water in the landscape from the view of a physical scientist. So we thought it was really exciting to bring together an earth scientist with a biological scientist to think about this problem of climate change.
What they have in common is a desire to understand how something as vast and complex as global climate change might impact a microclimate, such as the many microclimates that occur around San Francisco.
The techniques that we're using take these very coarse-scaled climate change models. And in the global climate change model, there is one pixel. If you think about the pixels on your TV, there's one pixel for all of Northern California. So the challenge was, how do we get climate projections as well as an assessment of current climate that captures what we call the topoclimate effect?
And the topoclimate effect has to do with the scale of the map they're using. Lisa and Healy needed a map that was downscaled and would be measurable in meters rather than kilometers.
And when we started looking at climate through this downscaled lens, we were able to start detecting the kind of microclimates. And we started realizing that those microclimates were very closely correlated to the kinds of habitats that we had here in the Bay Area. So once we understood the relationship of how microclimate affects habitats today, especially in the pattern and distribution of those, then we knew that we could start thinking about fast-forwarding the microclimates and seeing how the future habitats will look. One of the silver linings of this work was that when we zoom in and take that finer resolution look at the landscape, the projections are much less dire than the first round of projections. So when you have a very coarse scale and you assume that there's sort of going to be a maximum amount of change across the whole landscape, if you run the species models, those models will tell you that all of these native species to the Bay Area will have to leave the area because there will be no refuge yet for them. But when we zoom in and have a better understanding at this fine scale, we understand that there will be pockets of places where species that are more adapted to cool and wet climates will be able to hang out, because there are parts of the landscape that will still be protected that way, even under a warmer and drier climate. When you start to see the projections of climate change, you realize that there's not one specialty or one industry that's going to be affected and need to respond. It's actually the entire community. So what we need is a collaborative effort to start looking at those projections and thinking about what it means for the individuals that are impacted there.
And Lisa and Healy are working on a process to accelerate getting this research into the hands of land managers, scientists, and government agencies.
And that's why we thought it would be exciting to have research scientists working with land managers. And that was sort of a piece of what I brought to the collaboration, was being a land manager on the ground who has to worry about the details. And so very early on, Healy and I started contacting our colleagues who are Switzer fellows and others, and there became a mutual groundswell to create a group that could work together. So now Healy and I are part of a steering committee of 45 scientists who are focused on this question of Bay Area climates and biodiversity. And we've done about a year of exploratory work as a team, and the team is so energized by this work because it's very exciting to work with others on this, that normally we'd just be in our offices, in our silos, doing our individual work, but this is really an issue that's making people come together. I think we're really piloting an approach in the Bay Area that other metropolitan and regional areas are going to want to use. We have a lot of resources here a lot of people on the ground interested in the problem. I think we're going to have a great model that we can share with other communities.
For more information about this topic, please visit our website. This is Switzer Network News.